Season 3! Yes! We're back with Season 3, and I am fuzzy as hell, but it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Fuzzy or not fuzzy, my name is JD. Hello.
And is your boy Wassabi. Season 3,
Yep.
same fucking catchphrase.
We're not changing much. Really, just the, I guess we're changing the overlay. We actually don't know what it'll look like yet, but that's changed. And
yeah.
we have a new logo, which will be apparent, of course, and a Patreon that's out, and so much other shit to talk about. We're blasting off into the new season, and it's funny. Usually, when we take 2 weeks off recording, we haven't talked for a while, but we've been talking like every day now.
Yeah, I know. I talk to you like way more than we have, even just because of all the things that we will get into this episode, mainly talking about the big one and the content stuff that we're doing there. But before we do that, we gotta shout out the big one's main artist, Shiggles, at Shig_bot, who made our sick new logo.
Yep.
And I am loving it. I mean, I asked Dark Gen X for, to make a logo off of a post-it note drawing I had. And luckily that was what we ran for the old one, but to get a real artist to do it, I'm so happy with it.
A real artist. Shots fired to our original logo designer. No, I know he's a hobbyist. He's good at
better
it.
Memes now. He moved into meme territory.
That's true. If we ever need a really insane Marth comboing a fox on the keyboard meme as an NFT, then we'll hit up Dark Gen X. But
Dark Gen X is our NFT crypto guy.
Yeah, but Shiggles, huge shout out. It's actually pretty dope to be working with him on the big one a little bit in passing, because we're like, yo, we you gave us a logo, so we'll definitely link everything in the show notes, hopefully. And that's just one of many things. Let's keep it rolling on the housekeeping, right? Before we get into the juicy stuff, because our Patreon is launched as of today. So there's going to be some, as of recording, we're like 95% there. It's all in the preview. We just need to finalize like what the tiers are going to be exactly. So really just check it out, see what's going on. Everything we do is going to be put back into the show, of course, and very much so will be impactful towards like more shit we can make. Pretty much repackaging all the stuff we already have and making cool short form stuff is pretty much the TLDR of that. Am I missing anything?
Mainly to help look for an editor, because we're at max capacity right now. We're in overdrive, honestly, JD.
For now,
these last few weeks we are in overdrive. But yeah, I mean, last thing I'll say about the Patreon before we go into that is, every little bit helps. Any support is much appreciated. You are a true homie, and yeah, it's literally all going to getting editors to do other form of content so that we can really expand the Wannabes content and all that good stuff straight to your veins.
Yeah. Also, I think we have some decent deliverables, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to get too much into that. Check out because basically
you worked really hard on the tiers.
We that was definitely what we spent the most time on, because we didn't want to feel like it was just kind of a charity service from our devoted homies to us. We're pretty much trying to squeeze everything we're already doing just to record it and to pretty much like, if we're having conversations, if we're having whatever, it's just like, all right, that's some bonus stuff. Plus, a lot of extra fun things, recommendations from Wassabi's anime list, of course, and access. We're definitely putting some new stuff on there as well. It's not just
some musical pieces from JD and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, last thing, of course, is if you're able to support the Patreon, thank you so much. If you are not, still hop onto our Discord, chat with us, ask questions. Like, it's supplementary and it's much appreciated. But you can still catch us on the Discord and stuff.
Yeah, it's all bonus. It's not
All bonus.
the
Yeah.
real juice is gonna be in the podcast as always. We're that's more like a composter. The Patreon.
I'll let you handle an analogy, JD.
Yeah. Me workshopping analogies is another tier, apparently. And so that's that. We're definitely gonna keep boosting it every episode, so keep an eye out for that. But last little bit of housekeeping, I think, probably, maybe, is a bit of promotion for the big one coming up. We have been
Yeah.
teasing uh, something. We've actually done a pretty good job keeping a tight lid on what we've been working on. But actually, Will, I wanna let you take it away because you've been more so the front man in coordinating with the TOs. You've been much more available than myself, and been handling
Yeah.
those conversations. So take it away.
Yeah. So we finally got the go with the big one happening next week, starting July 3rd all the way to July 11th, I believe. It's a week-long online festival hosted by Homemade Waffles and the Rollback Rumble team. We finally got the approval and blessing to talk about it on our podcast. And what it is that we're really going to be doing a lot of fun and super sick content pieces. Shout outs to the entire team and like, for the opportunity. Like, I can't tell you how excited I am for it. Like, I have been, as JD said, been the kind of like the front run on it. But the main things as a summary, and then we'll get into the details, is we're going to be doing three main segments. I'm going to be more on the front end. JD is going to be doing more on the back end stuff and pre-recorded stuff. Be doing pre-recorded as well, but we're going to have three segments. We're going to feature the TO team, the lovely TO team, because TOs need to be thanked. So we have Meet the TO team segments pre-recorded. Then we'll also have Meet the Top Players. So we are interviewing the top players, the top seeded players of the big one, in classic 1v1 style. And then on top of that, your boy is hosting a few recap segments, and we are ironing out. I'm going to be doing one early in the week to preview all the fun events. And then on Saturday, after all the festivities, it's going to be me, Nathan Sandwich, Snoo, Turn Down for Walt, and Dark Gen X doing a pre-show and a recap in like a sports ESPN style sort of way. And I'm so excited to get the five groups to talk about EU top 16 and Melee top 8 in North America. And all the sick things that have happened that you might have missed throughout the week, because it's crazy how big this event is.
Yeah, and I'll be supporting Will in the back end on that. Obviously, I love attention. I would have been on this squad if I were available. I have a wedding that day, unfortunately, but hey, what are you gonna do? It's a week long event. There's gonna be conflicts.
Yeah.
But on my end for the recap stuff, I'm gonna handle kind of like a volunteer coordination type thing, like a project manager, volunteer coordinator role with clip hunting. So actually, by the time this episode comes out, I will very much be in the throes of finding help. Small incentives. It's really like if you're going to be watching anyway, we could use your help. It'll take probably 10 minutes to train or really to show you the process of where the clips go and kind of how it's formatted. It's quite easy. And basically it's a way to get all the good clips in one place to feed to all the different, if it's going to be like stuff, if it's going to be the social media team to get out on Twitter or whatever, if it's going to be on to Will, to really, it's not a cornerstone of what they're doing, but hey, if they got 5 people on, they have a bunch of clips to go through, might as well just like mess around.
Mean, the more the clips, the better, right? And it's only going to make the segment better, right? But yeah, you're going to be as the self-proclaimed clip czar.
Yeah, I love that.
For the big one. It's a great title. It's a great title.
Which I'm really excited about everything. Like we talked about Overdrive. This is going to be a big portion of our episode, so let's just keep rolling with it.
Yeah.
I think one thing we keep talking about, which I'm really happy it's a kind of cornerstone of our conversations, is our capacity. Right, we're very attuned to how much we're taking on. And we've been prepping, I think, mentally the past couple of weeks. As soon as we kind of got approved and we had the first meeting, we were like, all right, let's just be really deliberate on what we are going with here. Because when you're in the brainstorming section, you have all these ideas you could do and you get excited about everything. Everyone gets excited about everything. And I think to pat ourselves on the back real quick, just in the part we're in now, I could be completely wrong. Like we could be underestimating the amount of work we have to do, but it's just been all about what is your capacity, what is my capacity. Let's be sensitive to that if and when we ask other people, because the TOs are busier than we are on this. Like,
Yep.
And I think that's led to a really healthy process up to this point where I'm a little nervous about it. I want to make sure I do a good job, but I'm really just excited to get an at bat here and to, bring the skills me and you have to the table. Like, I think we're going to do a good job. And this week is the week of pre-production. Like, this is going to be a lot of work.
This week will dictate how much we're going to be like sprinting the next week.
Sure.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And I think, I love that you mentioned, like, we were always, like, very apparent about, like, our capacity and stuff like that. And then also at the same time, like, this is, I think, like, the biggest opportunity, like, you and I have, and, like, the Wannabes podcast, like, brand that we've had. And so, like, on top of being, like, just literally, like, so thankful, like, gratitude levels, like, through, like, to the moon, honestly. Like, both JD and I, like, and then JD, correct me if I'm wrong, we're just like, shit, like this is perfect. Like, we're opening up season 3 with like a bang, and like this is like the like cue in the Eminem song, "You Got One Shot" type of thing, and like we're trying to make the most out of it. And I think I'm really happy with where we settled. We're pretty much finalized a lot of our interview questions and know the formatting of that. And again, having the recap show team, the Fantastic Five, right, the A team, it's going to be super sick. Yeah, I mean, what else can we say, JD? Honestly, as your camera is
Constantly.
all good now.
Is it all good?
Not
it's
good.
It's
no,
awful.
Now it's fuzzy again. It's rough.
Our audio listeners, sorry for harping on it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, there's a few points I want to tackle this on. One thing is revisiting a topic we've talked about before, not exactly sure when, but about kind of the difference between preparation and training, where we are kind of experiencing both here. And I think it's kind of fun and helpful to think of where the two kind of intersect, right? So what we're talking about right now, the work we've been doing the past 2 weeks, 4 weeks loosely, but really it started ramping up 2 weeks ago and really ramping up now, is preparation. It is, there's an event and you have to do work leading up to the event, and you have to, cross your T's, dot your I's. That's classic prep work, right? But there is so much that we can't do, and we have to really understand where to kind of, cut the sandbags of like, that's out of my, I can't do that. For example, earlier today when we were talking about the finished product of the segmented interview questions, and I'm like, yeah, we need to have some sort of outro, some little like 2-second branded with the big one and whatever it's going to be, just something small so that everything is uniform and is cohesive. I don't know how to do that. I know it's easy, but it doesn't make sense for me to like do the preparation, which is like downloading a new software, learning it from the basics, putting everything together, or like there's just a point where it's just not worth my time. And that goes for like, if that goes the other way too, with things we are trained on, which is interviewing people. The bit of editing I do know how to do, which is make it very, very simple, very simple editing I know how to do, etc. And time management and conversations about capacity, right? And I think it's important to take a beat as we're going to Well, and every opportunity we have to pin down what is in our control, basically, and what is something we just have to roll with how good we are, you know?
Yeah. This is like the first time also I feel like we're producing, like creating something with like a much larger team. Like I think like when we were in 5 days of Melee, which was super sick of course as well, like it was more of like us submitting, especially for me personally, it was more of like us submitting content, even for like Alston Melee and all of that, it was like us submitting something
Right.
and then it would be played. But like this one it's so crazy because it's like we've had like so many like content meetings and like seeing everything like kind of come to fruition from it, which is really interesting, like from the ground up. And so that's been like super awesome because like as you said, there's stuff that like we can't do, but like what can we bring? And it's like really like I think I've mostly been happy with our also like contributions in terms of like trying to like lighten the load for the TO team, making sure that like we're on top of our shit, even small things like making an Excel sheet, making a doodle to like schedule times to meet, like all of that sort of stuff I think is so like it helps and it adds up even, if it's not necessarily like the final product. But yeah, I mean, such a big learning experience honestly, and like it's been nothing but fun to work with the TBO team.
Yeah, and it's also really funny because I'm thinking of, it's important to stay present. I think for the most part I am. Now that we're digging more into it, I'm thinking,
Hmm.
what do I want the end result? Like, selfishly, what do we want to get out of this? And from my perspective, I just want to have this lead to another thing. Like, I want to do well so that we're asked to do similar things again, because then I get to take the experience from this and then do a better job and gain skills and just be better at this role for the next time.
Hmm.
And that's really exciting, is that now it's almost like, it's weird because um I'm happy with what we've been doing up to this point, but there's always a what's next kind of feeling no matter what.
Hmm.
And I know that 2 years ago, if I knew this is where the podcast would lead to and this is the opportunity we would have, I would be like, I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, holy shit, like how? And I think to have this in front of us and to do a really good job, I just want, I just want to do a good job, because then we get to do another good job, and then we get to do another good job, and we just do it because doing it is the cool part. Like, I've been loving the conversations. The only stressful thing is like I'm hanging out with so much family lately. Like, I'm just
Yeah, your
constantly
your
with
family and
family.
your dog already alone takes time, so
Yeah.
your family into it, yeah, that's crazy.
But besides that, it's like, if I could work on an event every month or 2 months, like if I could just be a part of the the scene more and more, and really just contribute, um I think that's enough. And it feels less like a stepping stone and more of just, I guess it does feel like a stepping stone, but it's just one stone that could, I just want to have a bunch of things like this forever. I don't need a bigger thing. Honestly, there's not going to be too many bigger opportunities than this.
Yeah.
I just want to do a good job, get better at it, and then next time, hopefully, deliver something stronger, but also do it with a bit less effort. Make it a little less effortful on my part, just because I'm more experienced, if that makes sense. Like,
There's a comfort level to it.
exactly. That's a better way of
Yeah.
putting it.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. For me, what I'm most excited about is really that we finally get to showcase the Wannabes, I think. Like I think we've like showcased ourselves like on commentary, and that's probably been the closest, and why we were like the second half of season 2 was so exciting because like we started becoming a commentary duo. But stuff before it was us showcasing our content and ourselves, and like all of that, right? Like Melee Footsie's handbook, you and like your interviews and the songs and all of that. But it feels like the first time we finally get to like showcase in a separate way outside of us like tweeting about it or making a Reddit post like, hey, like this is the Wannabes and this is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited for that more than anything, because all of the pieces of content I feel like is so on par with like what the Wannabes has grown to become.
Yeah.
And then also on top of that, I think that like it's also just stuff that like that we haven't seen other people do, right?
Right.
And I think that's like the biggest thing. Like, when have we seen like dedicated interview segments for like the TO team about like specific topics, like, you know, like seeding or art direction or content management and like all of that, right? When have we seen interviews of top players where they're all asked like the same questions, and we get to see and compare it, right? And it's something that like will stand the test of time, where new players even coming into the scene can like look at it and be like, oh wow, like this was so cool, right? And I feel like we only see like a glimpse of that with like BTS, and they go definitely more of the like comedy skit route, which they do amazingly. But I'm excited for like doing stuff that people haven't seen before, especially like, I mean, for me, like my big thing here is the recap show,
Yeah.
and making sure it's like a spectacle and an event, a segment that no one thought they wanted,
Yeah.
but afterwards for sure they're gonna want it. And I think that's the goal for me, at least, and what I'm like, I have confidence that we can like pull off.
Yeah. And this kind of ties into the capacity thing too, because I think we were really looking for things that we were comfortable with, but were also a healthy amount outside of our comfort zone. Because we weren't just pitching basic 1v1 interviews. You know,
Or us talking on the mic about like our ADHD meds
Yeah.
and dietary changes.
Yeah, before top 8, we're going to talk about our last therapy session.
Yeah.
So it definitely isn't a one-to-one thing we're comfortable with, but when it comes to the interviews, it's like, yeah, we've plenty of practice. We know what we want to hear. We have time in the scene enough to know what's been done, and that's definitely the comfort zone part. And then you and I both have the projects where I'm just excited to try a behind the scenes organizational contribution, and you put together a crack squad of like different personalities.
It's
And
cracked.
It's like straight up awesome. And you're going to be hosting it and delivering something that I'm sure is still kind of fluid in the way you're prepping it, because you know, you don't even know what the earlier week's going to be. It's going to be fluid up till doing it.
Yeah, and then 3 upsets into the top 8, and no one knows what the hell is going on.
Right. And funny enough, actually, I think that those two things I just mentioned, the outsider comfort zone, is part. I think that comes straight from what we've been talking about end of season 2, and honestly forever, which is like the growth mindset attitude. Because I think what you're doing is particularly more so. You know, you can't do too much prep. It's a lot of it's going to have to be on the spot, a lot of improv. And for me, it's the exact opposite. It's all prep. It's all structural, just making sure that, you know, it's all organizational. And so it's subconscious. It's funny enough, we haven't talked about that angle
That's
on
so
it.
weird.
Isn't that, yeah, but that's like, you would think that I would be the first person to be like, yeah, let me get in front of the mic. And you'd be like, yo, let me do all the prep work and crush this. And
Yeah.
I think both of us, without really discussing it, wanted to do the thing that would challenge us, that would expand our kind of skill sets. Which, I mean, shit, that's good for us. I mean, it might be harder and we might make more mistakes than if we strictly stuck to a comfort zone, but I think it's a great move, you know?
Yeah. Also, to build on that, I mean, yeah, it's crazy. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, because it's just like, yeah, how, I mean, like, mainly because of like your wedding stuff and stuff like that. But like, because of that, like, I feel like that was like a key catalyst in it. It's so crazy that I'm like hosting something and being in front of something where it's like, damn, like that's gonna be nutty, and I'm gonna be sad that you can't be there with me for it,
I know.
just because of time zones differences and stuff like that. But it is crazy how we're challenging ourselves, and then I kind of want to build on that and say I feel like this is also the first time where I'm like, and I have to say, give props to you because like one of our earliest conversations with it, was like I think you mentioned in our first content meeting with the big one team is like you're like, well, like we want to do like wannabe stuff, right? And we want to make sure it's like stuff that like not only that we can do, but it's stuff that like we wanted, like it's just like on par of like what we love to do,
Sure.
right? And that's what this podcast is it's just talking about stuff that we love essentially. And I think this is the first time where I'm like, oh, this is where the wannabes kind of fits into in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
Because it's a little bit of like a mind fuck a little bit because like our podcast is like a lot of like us talking about our week, right? And just two friends documenting like our journeys and our specific problems, right? And having this community around us that we're building. But I never figured out like where we fit into the grand scheme of things. It almost felt like, like when a startup has a good idea, but they don't know how to monetize it,
Sure.
right? They're like, oh, this is a great idea, but then they don't know how to make it like Netflix, right? Where it's like, or Roku, where it's like, okay, this is how they like continue and expand, right? And obviously it's not that we're monetizing it, but I just didn't know where we fit in because like I think Alston Melee like has a clear role. Melee Stats is probably the most obvious, like where they fit into the grand scheme of like collabs and stuff like that. Walt is another great example, being like a documentarian and like literally one of the best like video editors to do it for our community, right? Yeah. And so it was weird trying to figure out where we fit in, and yet somehow we came up with these three content pieces along with a lot of support on the back end to try to help alleviate the more responsibilities for the TO team, and because they are busy. They are very busy.
Yeah.
But it all feels like so true to the wannabes and like what we love to do. So that I think is like what I'm most excited. Like that's what I find super crazy actually thinking about it, because I did not know. I think I said I'm like I don't. What is the wannabes like, Brad, to you at one point, like during like a phone call?
Sure.
And you're like, I don't know, bro. But it should be that. And I'm like, I'll just like roll with this, and then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just admitting that to decide what you are with like a meeting and be like, this is the brand, is kind of silly. I think it's more so to answer what was the brand, what were we in all of this, and to keep admitting that this isn't a business, it's a podcast, it's two guys talking, and it's a content, I don't know, like I hate the word content in the first place, but yeah, I think it's important that when it comes to collaboration and all that, to answer the question, why us? Why are they picking us? Do they need two people who know how to talk into a microphone? Do they need us to execute on their mission? Do they want us to have some creative freedom and to alleviate the load, as you say, and just kind of do our own thing and enjoy it ourselves? And once we got that answer, which is they're still, they don't have a strong, like, this is what we need you for vision. It was very collaborative and, giving us a lot of freedoms to decide things. Once we knew that, then it was just a matter of getting comfortable with like, yeah, this is what we would want to do. We want to take what we know and take not just what we know, but what we've seen to be really fun for us and fun for people who listen to it, which is like just, getting people to talk about things you haven't heard them talk about before. That is something we are among the most qualified to do. And we are more qualified than, to toot our own horn here and to really be maybe a little braggadocious. That's not a word, but to be a bit of a dick about it. Like, Radio Melee is just starting, right? Just because they're doing it and they're asking the best players and they're getting the best players on does not mean they're necessarily better than us at getting the right questions in front of those people. Because to respect the form is to know that it takes time to get there. I'm not saying we're better than Radio Melee. I'm just saying that,
of course,
that
And I think I could
we have
also
time behind it is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, we have experience, and I think on-field experience speaks a lot, especially in these sorts of things. I also think like we, interesting you bring up Radio Melee. I didn't know I didn't know where you were gonna go with it, so it's interesting you brought up Radio Melee
Sure.
because they also their whole thing is like it's a radio show, like you can call in and people ask the questions versus like I think you phrased it really well where it was we have really honed on like asking questions that people didn't know that they wanted to know about someone
Sure.
and capturing that story and that's the difference is right like if like going with your example Radio Melee doesn't make the questions right they're not writing the questions
They
being like,
don't make any of them. It's all call in.
yeah it's all call in.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
they do like they talk and then they talk about stuff, but it's all call-in. So like it even fills a different space than what we cover,
of
where
course.
we're out. Us is like it's all questions that we're asking, and a few of the commute questions. And I mean, let's plug this again. One of the tiers, which is allowing you to also ask questions, not just to us, but to 1v1 guests for season 3. So that's a quick plug. But as you said, like we've worked on that for 2 years, 2+ years. I mean, we started in 2018, which is crazy to think about. So yeah, I totally agree. And I want to move on to, well, before I move on to like the next content piece, I'm excited to talk about that, has been hiatus for months now. I have to say it again, watch and sign up for the big one, coming from July 3rd to July 11th. It's over a week-long festivity and celebration of Melee, where they'll have Melee singles, doubles, volleyball doubles, Wolf singles, and then also EU and Asia singles and crew battles and so much more stuff that I cannot mention yet. So keep out for the schedule.
It'll be dope.
But yeah, and shout outs to the big ones TO team. Absolutely honored and thankful for the opportunity and like let's fucking kill it, JD. Like honestly, like what else can we say?
Let's do it, man. So what are you bringing us into now? What I actually don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah. I was thinking of getting into a Wassabi content classic.
Yes.
At this point, classic because it's 2 episodes long now. Which is Imperfect Protagonist. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to get Calvar on. And it's honestly been my fault because, as you can hear from my cat, this is my cat, Perla. You can finally see her.
Good
Perla.
timing on that.
Yeah, I know. She started meowing. She got sick.
Oh.
But now she's good. She has irritable bowel syndrome, apparently. So it's great. It's not cancer. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Sure.
And really, he's a big Hajime no Ippo fan, which is a boxing manga and anime, and it's been like months of us trying to plan and get it, but with the pandemic and how crazy things were, I always kept on pushing it back. So we finally got to record, and dude, I think it's so sick. Like I think it's gonna be such sick content. I'm excited to bring it back for season 3. And that's all I had really for it. I think it's gonna be, I'm gonna chop it up into smaller pieces because I've come to the conclusion it's impossible to talk about anime or manga in 30 minutes or under for any fan. So I'm just going to chop it up and do a little editing. But I'm excited that we finally got it, and it was such a fun conversation over a few beers and stuff.
Yeah, dude. I mean, what's better than something you record that you enjoy doing, which is like the whole point of this fucking podcast is getting energy, a net energy boost, and recording something once that you could release like 3 times. It's the 2 cheat codes of making stuff is record. It's kind of like measure twice, cut once. It's record once, cut, release 3 times. So yeah, it's such a free, like, good decision. It's just so much. Just I can't wait to see who else you have on and what other things you talk about, and maybe something I've seen. But wait, what was the first one about? Was that My Hero?
Haikyuu.
Haikyuu. Oh yeah,
but it was before you watched Haikyuu.
Right.
Actually.
I would actually probably enjoy it now.
You would enjoy it now, yeah.
Yeah, but dude,
Still one
it's
of my favorite thumbnails also to make that I made.
well, I mean, this the outfits just bring so much joy to me now.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm actually rewatching My Hero now because it's very
That's
easy.
fine.
It's very easy to rewatch.
Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure. My
but
Hero's cool.
on that front of making new stuff, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
um, I I could talk all day about I I guess collaborative content, but like recording stuff with people that kind of you haven't had that conversation with. It's why the 1v1s have
Hmm.
always been really just fun to do.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to this series and and my new podcast, I guess, is another avenue for that. Um,
Garlic salt.
Garlic salt, baby. Ooh, I've been slow simmering with that garlic salt. I'm really happy with the progress on that because I'm able to put in the back foot. Actually, that's
Hmm.
what I wanted to talk about. I was gonna digress, but this is
Yeah, no, no. Let's get into it.
what I meant to say is like these side projects that we're doing. Um, goes back into one of the first things I mentioned on the podcast about capacity and everything. It is really awesome to find these avenues and find these little things where I'll probably be working on the big one, but there's going more than likely going to be a point where I want to exercise another part of my brain, which is like the creative, train of thought, making music and being a goofball side. And I can go and record that, and that is not actually taking away from my number one priority. You know what I mean? It's not about like, okay, I have to do this week, so I can't do anything else until this is done. It's starting to understand that like you were not going to be able to record another like episode with me instead of Imperfect Protagonists. It was something
Hmm.
you've been wanting to do, and it came out of that. You've been much better at this, and I've learned from your process, especially with the YouTube channel, where I think the desire to make the thing is so much more pure and intrinsic with your videos than what the attempts I've made at YouTube and the lessons I had to learn the hard way, which is like, no, it's not about pleasing an algorithm or pleasing a fan base or making sure you're doing the daily uploads or optimizing that. It's
Hmm.
way more fun and way more beneficial to have the idea that you just can't escape from, that's just nagging at you like, fuck, I
Yeah.
gotta talk to this guy about this boxing anime, and if I don't, then I'm gonna try again next month. Like it's gonna keep bugging me. um
Yeah.
and that's been a really great avenue for some of this energy where another example of this, which is kind of the flip side of like cutting ideas and being like, no, I've had this idea has been in my brain for a while, but I actually don't think I want to do it anymore. I had the idea of, for Garlic Salt, doing a scripted piece where
Hmm.
it would be kind of like not a parody, but a what's the other word for oh god, I should know this. It's like making fun of a genre almost, but not a parody is like making fun of a song with different lyrics. Oh god, why do I not know this? And why do I care so much to not move on before finding the word?
Like, is it a different genre?
It's
like a
comedy.
yeah.
It's a style of comedy. People are listening
Interesting.
and they're screaming it right now. Um, oh
I
my
see you're
god,
in much pain.
you know what? I'm going to stall while I
Yeah.
pull. The video people got a shot of me pulling. I literally parody satire. I didn't even have to do it. Bam, satire.
Satire. There we go.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah. Oh my god, I fucked up everything, dude.
Doing content that you want to
Okay.
do and stuff like that.
I'm sorry
We're
for
still
the.
recording, right, JD? I
Yes,
just
we
have to
are.
ask.
Yes, we are. I
Okay.
had a bit of a bit of a meltdown, but we're back. And none of that's getting cut. Whew, season 3. Here we are. So
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is, I had the idea for a satire of a journalistic podcast
Hmm.
where you take something very serious, think like The Daily or anything that's like the news, but it would
Hmm.
be covering um these gambling videos I've been watching, where these people just go online and they spend thousands of dollars
Yeah.
on slot machines, and it's cotton candy content, and it's bullshit. Anyway, so this idea
Yeah.
was in my head for a few weeks, and I'm like, oh, I gotta make it, and I jotted a few ideas down, and it started to kind of suck the life out of me a little bit. And it took a while to recognize that having an idea that you want to execute on versus having an idea that you feel ashamed for not finishing are two different things, that the sooner you can catch it and release the not good one, um, you'll be able to start recouping that energy and put it towards something more in that passion side. It's really
Yeah.
like the shame and passion kind of diverge from the same sort of inspiration idea. The idea is not the harmful part. It's the attachment
Hmm.
to, like, if I don't finish this, if I don't make this, I'm worse. I failed, or like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And to tie that into everything we're talking about, um, that hasn't been as much of a problem lately. Uh, Obviously, when you have a deadline like the big one, it's we're going to put as much effort as we can. But I actually been hedging the clip czar stuff and saying, if I can't get volunteers to get these clips in, we need to do a watered down version. And then if I get like no volunteers, then we have to let this idea go.
Hmm.
um which is, I'm proud that I came across that. I'm actually surprised um with how I kind of proposed that idea. But
Very zen of you for sure.
classic JD rant that went way too long and had a very non-zen attachment to the word satire. It's almost ironic that I'm proud
Yeah.
of not getting attached to it, and then I spent like 3 minutes trying to find a word. But yeah, all that being said, I'm curious where your mind goes after that, because I need a break from talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, like again, it's really about like you can have an idea, but like I mean, life is just so busy all the time, right? Like you balancing a job, balancing relationships, family, all of that. So I think like the big thing for me is that it's oh my goodness, your camera is killing me. But I was gonna say that you know, being not super attached to it in the sense of like, hey, this is how I'm hoping it will turn out and stuff like that. And then also being like, oh, this idea keeps on coming back, this idea keeps on coming back, and like that's the one that you go with. I think is so crucial in terms of like content creation. And like I just did it like I mean, thank you for the shout out for it, but I mean I just do it because like I'm a player first and foremost. So it's just like I do what I can, and when I get the bug for it, like even something small, like I mean, like we're planning the for the big one, but I'm not doing any editing for it. And then out of nowhere, one day I'm like, you know what, we do need like a season 3 trailer, right? And I just did it, like, and that was just because like I just wanted, like I had an idea and was like, oh, like I heard the rap song and I was like, oh, that would be funny. And then what happens if it's like this? And I'm like, okay, that's funny enough for me to want to like execute a 20-second like trailer for, right? And that's really it. Like we said we were gonna do a trailer, honestly, until I like just like made one off rip.
Yeah, and it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Um, yeah, I mean, aside from that, like I mean, there's so many directions we can go. But actually, JD, I forgot I wanted to, and I forgot to tell you this in the pre-recorded like planning that we did, which is available on our Patreon now. We're gonna have to get used to when we choose to plug our Patreon and when not to now.
I know.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I forgot to tell you, I kind of and I kind of hinted with this during our call, one of our content meeting calls with Ventus, but regarding my family and kind of updates on that.
Oh
Actually,
boy.
I got some
Okay.
I got some big news for that. Stuff happened, and unfortunate and frustrating stuff happened. Like I think I tweeted about it a little bit. And but because we were off a week, taking our break between season 2 and 3, and somehow that week was busier than anything in season 2,
Yeah.
truthfully. Um I decided that I'm not going to talk to my dad anymore. And like I did that for a little bit and then like there was like kind of a ceasefire over Christmas, especially because I had to like go and pick up my stuff before I moved out to the West Coast, but uh stuff happened and I kind of just like kind of made the call that like and I kind of just told him. And last time when I did it, I told my mom and didn't tell him, but it was kind of implied. But this time I just kind of told him directly. I'm like, hey, I don't think things are kind of working out. We've tried stuff, so I think we should like stay not talking. And I kind of also don't accept your kind of like half-assed not apology, and which is weird. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more, but I think that was big for me. Like that was like significant like closure on it. And like the last thing that I have to do is just like switch my I just want to switch my phone plan and get a different number off the family plan if I to make like the symbolic clean breakaway,
Right.
even though it's like not it's really nothing besides like symbolic to me.
It's not nothing.
Um yeah, it's not nothing. Fair.
I no, I think that's very valid.
Yeah, but I kind of just like it was crazy because I think that's something I've always been scared of, like in terms of like scared of doing because he's kind of a package deal with my mom and my sister who I love very very much. But I told that to my sister, I told that to my mom, and I think like I don't know what's gonna happen. Like we're all in uncharted territory, and whether like you know what will happen, especially come around the holiday season. But um, yeah, I mean it was a big step for me, and I think it's a healthy choice because he's quite mean and doesn't really bring much to the table in terms of like positivity or like anything for my mental health. So yeah, that's sort of the big news I have actually. I totally forgot about it with all of the other stuff we've been doing.
Well, it's always good to have satisfying work to distract from
Yes.
toxicity and nonsense. And the cliche of time healing wounds is, I think, pretty true when it comes to things like this. I don't want to overextend my knowledge. Obviously, it's amazing that you have the practice of therapy and making sure that a professional is hearing you out in all this. And I'm sure you're not withholding it from therapy and bringing it to the
Oh
podcast.
yeah.
I know, of course, it's both.
Yeah,
But I would love to hear you more if you are done, or if you want to just kind of space it out over time and
yeah.
revisit it as you want to. I'm certainly happy to do a small pivot if you'd like into another
Oh yeah.
topic we've been talking about. But if as much as time as you want to talk about this, I'm here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the last thing, and I'll end it as this because we don't need to get like bogged down with the details. We know what and I've been very like open about how like mean he is and stuff like that and abusive. So I think the big thing for me also was like on top of like telling him directly I don't want to like talk with him anymore is I like and this was funny because I made this decision to be like, God, he's pissing me off. I'm either gonna like literally screenshot what he's saying to me and like post it on my IG story or fight him. And I'm like, well, fighting him's useless, so I'm just gonna screenshot it. And granted, I got like a few aunts and my mom being like, like we keep this silent, like this stays in the family, sort of thing. Um, you know, and the thing for me is like I really do appreciate like having recorded everything on the podcast because like in that moment I was like yes, you don't agree with this, but like I don't want to be like silent about it and it's not like to like embarrass him or anything. It was more of just like to let it go and like to like not hold on to it. And like the it was weird because it's somewhat nice to know now that all of my family, it's not that they don't know that he's a shitty person, but it's more of like they know kind of where I stand on it and like my thoughts on it. And I think that's so against like both my family's culture, like generationally and like Filipino culture and like how my parents grew up. So it like and there's obviously balancing because I don't want to like give my mom trouble, right? Honestly, some aunts like even reached out to her, was like, "Hey, I saw Will's post. What's going on?" As if it's like some Twitter drama, um, uh, but it's nice not hiding from that anymore and not staying silent about it, and I do appreciate like having recorded so much that like I felt that it was both needed, but I was pretty comfortable with the decision once I made it, and it's kind of like a weight off my chest. But yeah, I mean that's kind of it I have for like the update. And if again, like if anything else happens, I'll keep you updated. And if I think it's okay to mention on the podcast, I will for sure. But really that's about it. But overall doing okay, even if it is sad circumstance.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot to work through, but I'm proud of
Mhm.
you, man. I think the way you're doing it, obviously, it's hard to know the exact right solution or how to
Yeah,
act, but I think you're being very cognizant and putting yourself first, which is
yeah.
important because it's not like you're sending anyone to. It's not like you're in the mafia, and if you spoke about it, you're sending your family to jail. It's really just like saying the truth and just
Yeah,
putting it out there. So I'm obviously completely behind you. Speaking of, I'm right behind you. We played friendlies
yes.
recently,
Oh God. Ah,
and
hi.
the 9-1 in Wasabi's favor has finally gone back to 50-50. I don't know what the game count was. It felt very even
Hmm.
game wise.
Even stocks wise, I would say.
Yeah, it was a nice little back and forth 30-minute session. And I think the real highlight was the conversation we had after, which I
Yeah.
think we're gonna put behind like the dollar paywall on Patreon, like full screenshots of this
Oh yeah, we
for
should.
funsies. Yeah, just to experiment. Um,
One wasabi being salty, and then post analysis of both of our playstyles and where we kind of fall short,
well,
right?
I think we got equally salty, but I was winning more at the end, so I guess you
Yeah.
ended a little salty. So I had a chance to redeem
I got two
myself.
phantom hits on the last game too.
Oh, boy. But that's because UCF, of course. But
Okay.
I think the interesting part we were talking about was one, you offered advice which I accepted immediately. I'm like, yeah, please let me know. And you did this thing where again it ties into capacity, but you were explaining where what I could improve on that is not a fundamental shift of my play style, which is the first time
Hmm.
I've ever gotten advice like that or seen someone give that to someone else. I wonder if this was something you took from Drug Fox, perhaps, of the way he does lessons, where
Hmm.
he's not looking to do huge overhauls at once. It's really like, okay, what are you good at? What can you add and what can you subtract, sort of thing. But and I don't feel like getting into the details because I'm going to misrepresent because I don't remember
Hmm.
everything. But that really stood out to me was, and I implore anyone who could give advice to players at their level or below them, um, don't say things that you need to hear. Like, don't give the tips that would help you. Like, really focus on what that player is and how you have knowledge that they don't, and what makes sense for them, right? Because the flip side of it was really funny, and I want to follow up on the thing we talk about afterwards,
Oh yeah.
because you were in a meeting and I just gave you a big rant, but you were like, "Yo, I'm really into this. Like, send me more. Like, keep going."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And basically, I'm like, okay, Will has studied this game infinitely. I've never studied this game. That's how much more he studied than me. Um, and he has put in way more work in tech skill, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I might be, I over the course of my life, I might be about tied to you in the box, maybe, but whatever. Um, basically, I knew that it's fruitless for me to try to plug gaps in his objective gameplay because he's getting drug fox lessons. Like, in what world am I going to find something that drugged
Yeah.
fox can't find? And so but I also didn't want to be like, I can't help you, man. I don't like throw my hands up. How can I help? And what I landed on was, um, of course, a metaphor, an analogy, or whatever. Um, what I realized was a weakness in Will's play was if, and I use this exact metaphor, um, in the movie Doctor Strange, he gets like key punched, like
Yeah.
palmed in the chest, and his soul like escapes his body for a second before getting sucked back in. And he's like, "Whoa!" Right? And this is something we talked about on the pod too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it, so when Will gets mega comboed or not really when you SD, you don't tilt when you SD, but like let's say you get two phantoms and also hit like a series of things that kind of knock you off your comfort for something considerable, a real like blast to the
Yeah,
chest.
my jaw is a little weaker. Like in boxing, like if you get hit by the jaw, it's not that, and you see like a boxer fall. It's sometimes not even that the boxer like is super hurt, but like the brain signals kind of make them stumble.
You get a dinger,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And
So-
some people have better jaws than others, right? And that's where the term glass jaw comes from.
Oh,
But yeah, continue.
Oh shit, this is some anime stuff, isn't it? This is from that anime.
No, this is real boxing shit.
No, I know, but I'm sure they do real boxing stuff in the anime.
Oh yeah,
no?
yeah. I mean, okay, the manga artist, just quick tangent, like runs his own boxing gyms.
Oh, sick.
So it's like literally if like a Melee player made a Melee manga.
All right, all right. Good. That probably means it's good, and I'm down to check it out.
Yeah. Continue.
So I was trying to explore this, like what kind of advice can I offer Will, and I literally was like, dude, I have one thing to say. You should take acid and trip in the woods. And you weren't like LOL. You were just like, oh yeah, haha. I guess like, I've thought about that. I'm like, bro, literally, I think that would expedite that, like ending that weakness faster than anything else. I'm like, the big advantage I have over players at my skill level, I think, is I tend to overperform in tournament. And I feel as though that comes from my extended efforts of prioritizing Melee properly. So again, that like slot at 4th, slot at 5th, truly understand how important this is, and not let it get inflated in importance, because then you get too attached and you get too like nervous, and then your play suffers, right? Not saying you do that, but it takes a lot of work to fully explore what that means. And I think LSD specifically, literally connects neurons in your brain in a way that they don't normally, where, and the trip itself can be mild but still very like exploratory and fun, but also you come out of it like, oh wow, I can enjoy just eating a salad and getting sunshine. I can enjoy like just watching a squirrel like eat a nut, or I could just enjoy this song and just like vibe out to this fucking song, and melting the internal expectations we have could really, I think, round out, like smooth the edges, because you are just like, the amount of work you're putting on is so much higher than the average Melee player. Just you are constantly like churning out productive, smart, not just tech skill, obviously, like the learning. Also, you're doing work on yourself with the podcast and therapy. It's not like you need this. I just think, if we think of it as body
supplement,
yeah, it's a fun. Well, it is.
But I know you want to talk about
the
body and stuff, so get into that.
So yeah, to round it out, I'm like, look, if you think about it, mind, body, and soul, your body is the tech skill, your mind is the training and the coaching, and your soul is what's going to keep you from getting rattled when you get when something hits you. And it is the least tangible thing to improve. Why not do some drugs and figure it out? And it was really awesome hearing you be so open to it. And I don't think I would have kept explaining it if you were like, bro, that's not me, or like, I'm not interested in that. Like,
you're not the first person to say it though. That's the very funny thing.
Yeah,
I mean, of course. I mean, I'm sure you could guess who told it to me. Actually,
Smuckers.
Interesting. No.
I have one more guess.
Second guess.
One more guess.
It's obvious. It's really obvious.
It's gonna Jeremy.
No, Beer Man.
Oh, god damn it! Of course it was Beer Man. I'm
I
so
know,
tight.
of course. I told you it was really obvious. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I think what was cool about like our suggestions as a whole was it was like very much tailored to each other as you opened up, and it was like it wasn't just like oh like it wasn't just like oh like you should do X or Y, but it was like taking into account like knowing the actual person. And I think that was like the cool thing because like what I said with you essentially is like I could tell you to do things, and I know for a fact you wouldn't practice it.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I had to put
Fuck
it
that.
in like a very high level, like you're good at this, and these are your win conditions. I mean I can explain pretty
You
quickly,
phrased
but
it beautifully. Yeah, definitely
yeah,
check out if you're interested. Pay us $1 and download all the screenshots.
yeah. I mean we're literally just posting our Facebook message at this point, but essentially the summary is like you're really good with space, and you're good when you have that's a win condition for you as a player, regardless of whether or not that is like the right thing Fox should do in the moment. Right? Like there's a theoretical way to play Fox and stuff like that, but you're good with space, and then, but you need to do things to take that space so that you can like get more chances to like have your win condition. Right? Essentially, is like the quick 2 second summary of it. But I agree, and it honestly, I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm sure you're gonna piss me more off, like more so than not as we continue playing. But it is I'm glad to see you back in shape because this is the first time that you didn't look like a little sloppy, honestly, and like you weren't just like running in and like up smashing me or something like that. But what's funny is you were telling me to take LSD or like to relax more and stuff like that, right? Because I think I definitely hold more tension when I play than when you play.
Sure.
And I just finished like a fun 2 hour session with Snoo where he was like, "Do you want to be on voice chat?" And I'm like, "You know what? Snoo? I do want to be on voice chat,
Yeah.
right?" And I'm not the type to actually say yes to that all the time, right?
Oh, I
I'll be
know.
try hard and be like, "Nah, JD, I don't want to talk." Granted, when we played, it was like 6:30
Yeah,
a.m.
that's
But I could easily tell you that at like 7 p.m. your time,
sure.
right? Totally within my realm to do. And what's funny is we were playing and we were talking about the games and just kind of having fun, and it was like almost similar to like when you're having a fest with one person, you're just like sitting next to them and just like joking around and having fun. But a big mental block I've been having is specifically hitting my ledge dashes. I just always kind of tense up during those moments, especially because I don't have as much practice on the box yet, and I've been grinding it out. And even if I can like hit it 5 times in a row, hit it and do like the action I want to afterwards, I know how to do it well. Like I know what I'm doing wrong and stuff like that. I still miss it like in game. And as I was playing Snoo at the end of the sesh, I realized like, wow, like just because I was like hanging out with my bud and talking with him and kind of having fun, and we were playing really serious games, it was like so fun and like just laughing about it. I like probably hit the most ledge dashes I've ever had, and like didn't get like thrown off by it. And like literally, it was just like it wasn't about like me practicing ledge dashes more. It wasn't about me doing something differently, hand motion wise, or not knowing like the technical like explanation of like what makes a good ledge dash. It was like literally just like loosening up and not holding that tension. And then I was funny enough like playing even like Kuyashi afterwards, and again same thing. Like it just like was like a mental like eureka moment, because it was just like I got to loosen up in those moments. And I kind of think back of a boxing quote from Customato, who was the coach of Mike Tyson when Mike Tyson was on the rise. And he mentioned about how like when people get hit, their instinct is to like not get hit again, and they tense up. But that is exactly how you get hit again. You have to be able to like get hit and not be fear about getting hit, because if you're fearing about getting hit, then you are just most likely gonna get hit and get hit pretty badly. So ironically, that just kind of reminded me of it, and also leads into you telling me to have an acid trip.
Well, I mean, if it was me, you, and Snoo, I think we would have the best time on the planet. That would be a
100%.
squad. I mean, dude, there's so many things I want to talk about in this realm with like why, because I'm in shape because I came off the 3-day Smash Fest essentially.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and that's my thrive space. I was
Hmm.
playing real good there too. I was playing good doubles, good singles. It was great. Um, but yeah, I think my mind went to the idea of like holding sand in your hand. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
If you
And
grasp too
expand.
hard, I mean, if you're picking sand up, it's kind of like it's going to fall through your fingers no matter what.
Hmm.
But you don't grasp tighter because then you just push it through and then it's gone faster. It's really just
Hmm.
accepting the inevitability of failure and just understanding that the more effort is not the solution all the time. Uh, and
Hmm.
and it's difficult to find that balance because you could
Yeah.
also regret inaction in the same way, and that comes from the preparation of it, and then playing is a whole different beast, right? I think most of what we talk about in the podcast for sure is about the preparation side. We've never played during the podcast, so it's impossible to get our exact
Yeah.
thoughts in the moment. We could only like debrief. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, uh, I'm super ready to get back into the swing of things. I've been obviously the big one takes huge priority. There's not a lot of space to talk about the rest of the stuff, so I'm definitely gonna wait for next episode. But the fest bit the bug right back. I am fully um ready to get off the off season to start prepping.
Nice.
And
Let's go.
the big thing is and this is a little, I guess, teaser because I do want to wrap up,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Makes sense.
I'm gonna aim to be um fully aware of all the regionals that are going to be driving distance and just getting squads to any tournament we can, and then getting a little bit of a I don't know if I should say this publicly, but getting a closed invite hotel suite like I did in Albany,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, yeah.
pretty much turning, like, converting regionals into like a 1-day major, a 1-day 1-night major.
Oh, that's gonna be hype. Yeah, yeah.
So,
That was a really fun night. That was a crazy night.
bro, I
Yeah.
think that should be recreated. And I don't know if I want to go to a major. I could actually, if I could do that once a month, I would never have to go to a major again if
Hmm.
I could pull
Yeah,
that
yeah.
off. But yeah, it was just another kind of another moment to understand why I love the game so much, and just as many fests as I could pull off. That's the move,
Hmm.
and it'll keep me getting better at the game inevitably. I think it's a really viable long term strat. That it was nice to get validation coming back and playing hot and being able to go a bit of Super Saiyan 2 against a player who I respect so much, you, especially in the
Oh.
Fox Ditto, bro. Jesus, you're a fucking beast. So it just, I guess it felt really good and validating to be able to
Yeah,
still
no, I was
access
happy
that.
for you.
I was playing
Yeah,
nice.
you were playing good. I mean, that's the funny thing is I also gotta say I appreciate that you let me just like be mad about like my play, but like I don't think I was also the first to say that you were playing really well.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was playing real nice. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'd be
And
tight
there
too.
was
Like you've
no.
made me tight plenty of times.
Yeah, yeah. I know, I know. I know. Well, it was also interesting, and maybe this is a good place to end. Is uh you were like, yeah, don't worry, man. It was like 7, it was like 6 a.m. It was like 6:30 a.m. Like, it happens, that sort of thing. And I was like, nah, dude, like I shouldn't be like, uh, I shouldn't be messing up on shit like that. I don't care what time it is. And you were like, all right, fine. Like, that's totally cool. Like that's your thing. And then you gave me advice afterwards. And funny, I talked about it with Calvar on the Imperfect Protagonist as well, because it was just like a very funny exchange that we had.
Yeah,
But you definitely gave me the space to just like be frustrated with my play while I was still able to like just like be like, yeah, you were playing like real hot. Like you were mixing me up, right? And so that was really good. But again, like so different ways we approach the game. And like I don't think I'll be going to a major this year, but I'm
same.
saving up for the 2020 Wasabi bid Road to Top 100. So all my funds are going to be saved up for that.
Oh man, we got so much ahead
Starting
of
with
us.
the big one,
Yeah.
actually, which I'm also entering. I forgot to mention that.
Well, we'll get a bit of a talk on that because next episode will be released around the bracket
In the
time,
middle.
right in the
In
middle
the
of
middle.
of the big one.
Oh, in the middle of big one, brackets on Friday.
Okay, so we'll definitely talk about that next episode. Sick premiere. We talked about everything we wanted to. We got a lot of good things built up.
Yeah.
Join our Discord if you have a little loose change. Feel free to send us some money on Patreon and get some delivs. And this is great. We're back into it. Easy peasy.
Yeah. Welcome back to season 3. It's like we haven't left, and quite frankly, it wasn't really even a break.
Yeah, all gas. All gas, no breaks.
Yep, yep.
All right, man. Well, that's that.
That's a wrap.
We'll talk soon.
Yeah, clip it and ship it. Rip it. Wait, God.
All right, bye.
Bye.